What's happening? Violet's voice cracked, fear creeping in. She looked wildly around at the circle of werewolves closing in, but nobody answered. Not even Asher. Violet froze, completely stunned. Panic and disbelief washed over her. She could have looked away, but where? Werewolves surrounded her on all sides. Her feet felt like they were stuck to the ground, her tongue thick in her mouth. Her golden eyes went wide, taking in the sight of so much exposed skin. And there, right in front of her, was Asher. Her gaze locked on him, traveling over his broad shoulders and down his muscular body. She wanted to scream, to demand an explanation. But her focus wavered when she noticed something that made her stop. Scars. Asher's body was covered in them. Jagged, cruel scars marked his otherwise perfect skin. Some were faded and old, others looked fresh, like they refused to heal. Violet's heart squeezed in her chest. She didn't understand why, but looking at those scars felt like a punch to the gut. Werewolves healed fast. Their bodies rarely showed any sign of injury. And yet, these scars remained. There was only one thing that could leave marks like that: silver. It was obvious someone had tortured Asher, repeatedly, with silver. Who would do something so awful? And why? Violet didn't know why she cared so much, but a sudden, intense anger surged through her. Whoever had done this deserved to pay. Like what you see, princess. Asher's teasing voice broke through her thoughts, shattering the moment. Violet's head snapped up, anger flashing in her golden eyes. How could he smile now, after everything he'd been through? And yet, his words, without meaning to, drew her gaze back down. Her breath caught for a totally different reason. Asher didn't even try to hide it. His blatant desire was all over his smug face. Heat flooded her cheeks as rage mixed with embarrassment. He was shameless, totally shameless. Determined to look anywhere but at him, Violet turned her head, only for her gaze to land on Griffin. Grinding her teeth, Violet tried to look away, only for her eyes to unfortunately land on Griffin again. The Cardinal Alpha was a walking tower of muscle, built like a linebacker, his body rippling with thick muscles that screamed pure strength. And unfortunately, her eyes betrayed her yet again, landing on his. It was gigantic. If there was ever a weapon to fear, it was that thing. He could seriously hurt someone with that. Some poor, unlucky girl. Violet took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. They wanted to freak her out, to make her uncomfortable. But she wasn't going to give them the satisfaction. Had they forgotten who she was? She was Nancy's daughter. She'd seen it all. Growing up in Nancy's trailer, Violet had walked in on more than her fair share of awkward moments. It was practically routine. And so it began. Lifting her chin with a "you don't scare me" look, Violet's gaze moved to Roman. Unlike Asher and Griffin, Roman was leaner, his body built more for speed. Still, he was just as intimidating, radiating power in his own way. Roman, always the showman, struck a pose like he was on a catwalk instead of standing naked in a circle of werewolves. Unlike the others, he seemed to be having a blast. He caught her eye and winked, obviously enjoying her reaction. Violet rolled her eyes, muttering a curse under her breath before moving on to Alaric. Alaric had a similar slim build to Roman, but his skin was paler. Just like the others, he was perfect, if you know what she means. Violet could finally understand where all of the Cardinal Alpha's confidence came from. But then, Alaric's electric blue eyes locked onto hers with this intense stare, like he was trying to see right through her. The weight of his gaze made her stomach flip, and she quickly looked away, refusing to meet his eyes. Everywhere Violet turned, she was met with bare skin, confident stares, and this overwhelming sense of power that felt like it was suffocating her. But Violet squared her shoulders and stood tall. If they thought they could intimidate her, they were wrong. "Is this it?" Violet said loudly. "Are you done showing off your little—" The words slipped out before she could stop them, and for a second, everything went silent. Her boldness had totally surprised everyone, especially the Alphas. They looked stunned, annoyed, and in Roman's case, amused. But then, out of the blue, laughter erupted, not from the Alphas, but from one of the human students standing behind them. "Guys," the preppy blonde girl snorted, a smirk plastered across her face. She sounded like she lived for moments like this. She called them, Looks like Violet's been hanging around with small fries her whole life, and now she can't tell the real deal when she sees it. The reaction was immediate. Laughter ripped through the group, getting louder and louder. Violet felt her face burn bright red. This wasn't how she pictured things going at all. She'd wanted to put the alphas in their place. Pun intended. Great. Why on earth was she arguing about this in the first place? A brown-haired werewolf strutted forward, oozing arrogance. He jerked his hips forward and sneered. Maybe someone should give her a taste of the real deal. Then she'd know the difference. He took a step towards Violet, and she instinctively backed away, sensing the situation was about to explode. She needn't have worried. A low, menacing growl rumbled from, surprisingly, both Asher and Griffin. The werewolf's smug grin vanished, replaced by a look of pure terror. He froze, then scurried back, shaking like a leaf. Everyone stared, not just at Asher, but mostly at Griffin, completely shocked. Asher being protective of Violet wasn't unusual, but Griffin? This was new. Even Griffin seemed surprised by his own reaction. He frowned slightly, as if questioning himself. But the hesitation was short-lived. His expression quickly became cool and collected. "Let's get this over with," he said. Right then and there, Griffin began to shift. Bones cracked, muscles rippled, and his body contorted as he transformed into his wolf form. This seemed to be the signal everyone was waiting for. Every werewolf in the arena started shifting, a chorus of grotesque snaps and groans filling the air. Violet felt dizzy. This was her first time seeing so many werewolves shift at once, and it was overwhelming. As expected, Griffin was the first to fully transform. Violet gasped. He was a massive, red-furred wolf, radiating power and ferocity. His eyes, a warm amber, held an intelligence that confirmed he was both a monster and a thinking being. But another wolf caught her eye. Huge, but not as gigantic as Griffin, this wolf's midnight black fur drew her in. Even in wolf form, Asher's eyes remained the same vertical slits, an unsettling sight on a wolf. It was strangely captivating. As if vying for her attention, a green-furred wolf barreled into Asher, shoving him aside. Violet knew instantly it was Roman Draven. A green wolf? Violet had no idea how that was even possible, but she wasn't complaining. He was a splash of color in this wild scene, unique and playful, and then the most beautiful snow-white wolf Violet had ever seen stepped into view. Alaric Storm. His fur shimmered in the sunlight like freshly fallen snow. He was the perfect blend of grace and power. Whether human or wolf, Alaric had a way of taking her breath away. But human or animal, those intense blue eyes still seemed to want her. And he made a move. Before Violet could react, Alaric Storm slammed into her, knocking her to the ground. The air whooshed from her lungs as she landed hard on the grass. Her vision blurred, and for a split second, she swore her life flashed before her eyes. She was staring straight into the wolf's razor-sharp teeth, way too close for comfort. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but terror froze her in place. She squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for the inevitable.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.